I've spent the last 2 years studying the well-being of our correctional staff. I've worked to create practical tools and practices that will lead to better outcomes for our staff well-being. The result of my efforts can be found in the Values-Based Wellness Plan, now available for free on our Fourth Purpose website. But in addition to the negative effects of things like job burnout, hypervigilance, and unprocessed trauma, there was another common factor that kept surfacing in the research data, one that was a little harder to define, and it's the problem of role conflict or role ambiguity. In other words, the research on staff well-being points to the fact that our workforce often struggles with understanding a clear vision for their job. And it's causing increased job stress, burnout, and it's also contributing to our difficulty in recruitment. It's not enough to know what to do. Our workforce must understand why we do it. The data points suggest that our people are not always clear on the why. As prison staff, are we here to punish or are we here to help? Is it neither or is it both? The prison system is an institution. And institutions serve a purpose in society. The purpose is usually something beneficial for the building up of or providing order for the society itself. So let's unpack this a little further. Prisons are institutions, but they are a component of a larger institution, the criminal justice system. The purpose of the criminal justice system is to keep order in the country and keep citizens safe. As Americans, we value our freedom, and we want to exercise that freedom and live our lives the way we want to live it. Yet when our freedom comes at the expense of someone else's well-being, then we as a society have to intervene. We as a people have to form and enforce laws that provide protection and order. The people create the laws, the police enforce the laws, the court determines the guilt and the justice needed for that crime, and then the sentence is carried out. Correctional staff uphold justice by making sure the sentence is served. The sentence is the justice. The sentence is the punishment. The punishment is the loss of freedom. But the story doesn't end there. What happens after the sentence is served? 95% of those sentenced to incarceration will return to society. And now we get to the root of the role conflict and the reason for ambiguity in the minds of our staff. Let me explain it this way. As a culture, we typically draw from a common narrative in our understanding of the bad guys. Our movies, comic books, children's stories, so much of it carries this conflict of good guys versus bad guys. The bad guys hurt people and they do things that we fundamentally are against. And so by the end of the story, we are cheering on the good guys as they capture the bad guys and banish them forever. They're sent away, the story is over, the end. But it's not the end. The very ones we label and send away will come back, and we need them to come back thinking and behaving differently than they once did. And that transformation doesn't typically happen without some intervention. So in one part of our brain, we may be thinking of this person as the bad guy, and thus we should feel a particular way about him or her, and maybe even work to help keep this person locked down and away from society. Yet in another part of our brain, we are told we should want positive interventions to come to this person to help lift them up in every way possible so that they can return to society as productive citizens, less likely to reoffend and create another victim. So it's easy to see how these two views are at war in our brains, even sometimes when we don't realize that they are. So we have to be honest about how we have been conditioned to a way of labeling and thinking about people and the challenges that that creates for those who work in corrections. Because the general public typically has this place for bad guys mentality about prisons, then it's no wonder that these cultural assumptions have hurt our ability to recruit a high-quality and purpose-driven workforce. Public safety is the goal of corrections, but that has always required a dual role. Even in the American Correctional Association's preamble, we find these words. The role of corrections is to enhance public safety by assisting in the prevention and reduction of delinquency and crime. Our purpose is public safety, so it matters that we keep those serving sentences secure behind the walls. Public safety also demands that the environment and activities and opportunities during incarceration support, promote, and cultivate pro-social attitudes and actions. Creating an environment that is conducive to behavioral change among people who are being held against their will is no small task. Creating a safe environment among the most disruptive of citizens requires a high-quality, highly trained workforce, all operating with a very clear vision. Not all offenders are ready to be a participant in such an environment. Those who want to continue in deviant behavior must be addressed firmly and consistently, because an unsafe, chaotic environment will not foster rehabilitation among the portion of our population that want to take advantage of the opportunities to grow and change. Our amazing correctional professionals walk this balance of safety and rehabilitation every day. While in the midst of daily human interaction, they are trained to respond to disruptive behavior as needed, and yet always encourage the therapeutic environment and champion pro-social attitudes and actions. And that is the uniqueness of the correctional workforce, that amazing intersection of complex human services within a security framework. In the next section, we will look at the multidisciplinary approach needed in order to achieve this vision for public safety.